Welcome, my name is Teresa Ippolito. I'm a student in Religion and Ecology at the University of South Florida in the spring 2019 semester. And today my presentation will focus on our changing relationship with seeds. This presentation is based on the documentary Seed the Untold Story, directed by John Betts and Taggart Siegel. And it overall explores the changes from seeds as a sacred element of culture to seeds as a capitalist commodity and the losses that humans and the environment have faced as a result of these changes. As you can see from the picture on the slide, there are a tremendous diversity of seeds with just an amazing number of different ways of being dispersed, sizes, colors, shapes. There are seeds that float across oceans like coconuts to find a place to germinate, seeds that are dispersed by the wind. They come in a diverse variety of colors, and the fruits and vegetables produced by the plants that seeds produce have, an amazing variety of tastes. And so in and of themselves, seeds have value. But for humans, they have taken on a number of different roles. So we have this great diversity of seeds, but unfortunately there has been recently a great loss in diversity of seeds as a result of human impacts. And because of our relationship with seeds, we need food in order to survive. This is of great importance to human beings and also an important environmental issue for seeds themselves. So seeds have served many roles for humans. And at its very base, seeds are our source of nutrition. One of our sources of nourishment and nutrition are cereal, grains, our breads, our fruits and vegetables are often produced through seeds. While there are other ways to propagate plants, seeds are one of those primary ways, and it's incredibly important for us in terms of being able to produce our own food. In addition, our livestock, we produce seeds and grains for livestock to feed on, and so even the other meat and dairy products that we eat are dependent upon seeds as well. And so what we've seen is that throughout human history, seeds have moved beyond just as a source of nourishment and nutrition, and they have also played a sacred element and had religious significance within cultures, and that sacred element produced a respect for the land, a respect for the seeds that led to more sustainable agricultural practices. And we've seen a shift recently toward seeds as more of a commodity within a capitalist system, where there has been a separation of the farmer from the land, a separation of the farmer from seed production and seed saving. And as a result of that, we've seen this accompanied by a lack of respect for our environment, which has impacted the environment, it's impacted human health and the future of seeds. And so we're going to explore this change further in the next slides. So seeds have been viewed as sacred in many cultures historically, but they are still held sacred in many cultures, and there is evidence for that today. Seeds have been viewed as gifts from the Creator. They're tied to myth and ceremony, and they're serving as answers to prayer. And they also very clearly show this connection between ancestor and future generations. And so one example of this is in the Hopi Nation. In the documentary Seed the Untold Story, Hopi Nation leader Lee Kuwanlisima, he describes how seeds are a gift from their creator and that they're tied specifically to the myth they have around corn as this spiritual connection to nature and life. And through their rain ceremonies, the Hopi express their gratitude to the cloud people, and the seeds are the direct answer to these prayers, and that these seeds are, given to them from their ancestors, that they give these seeds to their offspring, their future generations. And so the seeds are very deeply imbued with sacred value. This example would be an example of a more cosmological religion. The seeds themselves are deeply imbued with a sacred value here and now, And the way that the Hopi people maintain their right relationship with nature is through their ceremonies, through their prayers, and the seeds are that direct answer to their prayers, and they reflect that they are in right relationship with nature. So seeds are also viewed as sacred in certain Christian religions. For example, Will Bonsall, he is the creator of the Scatter Seed Project, which is a seed bank, and he views the seeds as a divine creation and gift from the creator. And he is compelled to save these seeds out of respect for the creator, out of reverence for the seeds. And as a result, his main goal is to fight the loss of seed diversity in order to maintain that respect for the creator and reverence for the seeds. And this is really kind of somewhere in between a cosmological and sort of like disenchanted Western view of religion, in that the seeds are gifts from the creator. There is sacredness around them. It may not be quite so directly imbued with that sacred, but it's this gift given from the creator. And then seeds can be viewed as sacred in sort of less religious terms, and viewed as a source of meaning and inspiration. An example would be Joe and Patrick Simcox in the documentary. They are seed collectors, explorers. They spend their life looking for seeds around the world, finding about new seeds, and they're really just deeply passionate about seeds. And you can see from their responses in the movie that this is one of their primary sources of meaning in life. And these folks can be viewed as Gaian naturalists. Gaian naturalists would be expressing awe and wonder when faced with the complexity and mysteries of life and the universe. This is from Taylor's article. So essentially, there is this deep respect for this complexity of life. The seeds can be seen as part of the earth organism in a form of reincarnation. And there is a level of sacred to them, even though it's not so much in a sort of traditional religious sense. They are holding this sacred space in people's lives. So seeds over time have lost their sacred value. Now, this is within groups within the world. If you look at those, the previous groups of people we were talking about, these are people who live now in this time. So seeds do hold sacred value in certain spaces now, but then there are many areas in which seeds have lost their sacred value. And part of this is that farmers have lost certain rights associated with seeds. They've lost the ability to own their own seeds, to maintain their own seed banks. And this really started, it started a long time ago, but the Green Revolution, which involved the creation of hybrid seeds, it had the goal of creating more productive plants so that more people could be fed. This was not necessarily with poor intentions, but the development of hybrid seeds, which can produce bigger plants, resulted in plants that were not as amenable to saving seeds. And so essentially a lot of the sustainable peasant farming techniques were lost. Farms became larger, more corporate, growing the hybrid seeds, feeding more people from these larger, more corporate farms. And over time, we see farmers more dependent on chemicals, which then has an impact on our environment and our health. So the technological advancements improved the ability to make more food faster. However, it did separate the seed from its natural environment. It separated the seed from the farmer, and so the farmer is being removed from their sort of their relationship with the seed and the land has changed. It's more distant. And as a result of that, that sacred dimension is removed, and a level of respect and care is removed for the land and for the seeds. And so you see more environmental degradation you just don't see that closeness that would have led to a more more careful taking care of the land in a more careful way seems to disappear when you get to these big, large corporate farms. And so then we see environmental degradation in all kinds of ways. A few mentioned in the documentary include atrazine, which is a chemical used in agricultural settings. This chemical was researched by Tyrone Hayes, and what he discovered is that that atrazine actually is leading to the demasculization of frogs near farm fields. And this is going to have implications for the ability of these frogs to reproduce and survive. You can see in the picture to the right, there are lots of pesticides and fertilizers that can end up in the water. This impacts all of the wildlife who use those resources. It impacts people as well because we enjoy these species. These natural species, and we also drink that water. So we also see problems with exposure to hazardous chemicals. So in the documentary, they focused on Monsanto and the open testing of chemicals in Hawaii and how these chemicals have essentially been tested right next to people. Even children in their schools are being exposed to chemicals, and there are health impacts as a result of that. So with every every time we see environmental degradation, it's very frequently accompanied by issues with health for humans. And so this is, directly impacting our own health as well. In a more sort of political sense, large corporations have essentially gained ownership of patents for seeds. And this becomes very complex because many of the cereal grains and seeds that we use to grow our food are pollinated by wind. And so how do you control a patent on a particular seed when it is dispersed by wind and spread to neighboring farms, and then suddenly their plants are now that patented plant and they no longer have ownership of this. So farmers have really sort of especially small farms, they have lost the ownership of the seeds on their land because of wind dispersed seeds wind dispersed seeds that have ended up on their own land. Farmers have also lost the ability to own their seeds. So there has been an effort, they described an effort in India, for example, where companies have come in and sold hybrid seeds and sold seeds to farmers, and farmers not completely always understanding the long-term implications of them no longer keeping their own seed banks and their own stock in seeds. And then as the farmer becomes dependent on the corporation to supply them seeds, there are financial implications. And this has led in India in particular to skyrocketing suicide rate in farmers. So there are health implications, environmental implications. There are also financial implications associated with all of these sort of changes in seeds becoming a more corporate commodity. While there have been many losses associated with modern seed production, many problems associated with the environment, losses of seed diversity, losses for small farmers. Seeds hold such an important place in people's lives, both in a sacred sense and also because seeds supply us with, our basic needs for life. And as a result of that, you still see that despite these losses around seeds, there are many people who still very strongly are advocating for seeds as being something that everyone has the right to use, and in terms of religious rights, that seeds is sacred, we need to respect that seeds are an important part of both our basic needs and our religious needs. And so, for example, the Ojibwe people of Minnesota have introduced legislation that has prevented genetically engineered wild rice from being planted. So they have taken control through political action in order to maintain their rights around the use of wild rice and the seeds. Many countries are increasingly requiring labeling of genetically modified foods, and you see across the globe local seed banks popping up, and education programs around seed saving are forming so that the next generation and the current generation can start preparing, saving seeds, and fighting and taking action in order to maintain their rights around seeds. So seeds in their very nature hold a sense of hope, because a seed is essentially something that will become something new, and that new plant that develops from the seed is going to produce new seeds that will then carry on from generation to generation. And so within the seed itself, there is a message of hope, and I think that is very special, and that people understanding this message and seeds being such an important part of our lives will not give up so quickly when it comes to seeds. Thank you very much. And here are the works cited. The works cited for the development of this PowerPoint, and here are the credits for each of the photos. All photos were gathered from Wikipedia, and you can find the credit here. Thank you and have a great day.